Why should we believe that the SEWU can make a change where no other union has?
Let me tell you why. In this historical year in the change of our country's leadership, security officers across the country should follow our new leader's theme in his campaign, change. Our president's theme for change showed our country that anything is possible and change can happen. So now I ask that all security officers help make that change in our industry because it can be done. And like our new president has always said, this is a change you can believe in.
Why is the SEWU's promise of a National Security Officers Union going to be so effective in comparison to joining international unions?
Listen, it is now time for the security officers to change the thinking of the industry they have chosen to work in. And that change must start with national organization. There are over 1 million of you who wear a security uniform. And if we put all of our voices in one place, we can make that change happen. Our one voice will get us that change in our level of compensation, our change in working conditions, and change in the respect that we are rightfully due. With the country's new leader and his labor executive orders and middle-class working families task force, security officers now have a vehicle in government to earn their fair share of wages and company-paid health plans.
What is so different from the SEWU and other unions who make the same promises, and how will Security Enforcement Workers Union make changes happen?
With the union's executives' obligation to this organization, they too will change how security workers have been represented in the past by other unions. The change will come with relentless, aggressive representation for all of our members. We will change the guard company's mentality that every security officer can be frightened away from joining a union with talk of termination and the loss of work contracts. We will change the practice of clients paying for our services at the poverty level that they currently pay now because they believe they can buy cheap labor at any security guard company. And we will change the controlling conditions at our work locations with swift union action that will force companies and clients to take our voices seriously and be prepared to have the alternative: no security officers available to them. Make no mistake about this. The change for the better for workers can be done, but only if we change as one.
How is the SEWU going to get companies and clients to pay our higher wages and health plans when it's never been done in over 50 years?
We provide a service that generates over $60 billion a year across this country. That's more than enough revenue to fairly compensate each and every worker that wears a security uniform to protect and watch over billions and billions of dollars worth of property and the lives that enter these properties.
Won't companies become angry at security officers that join a union and ask for raises and benefits? And how much of a raise are we looking at?
You should never be ashamed to ask for your fair share of compensation in any company. You deserve it. Our change is not just about your weekly paycheck. Along with this change comes your company-paid health, dental, and eye plans. Your working conditions will also change by assuring no officer will be forced to work long hours at short notice or long hours for short dollars. We will set a national minimum compensation scale for all officers based on the level of service each officer provides. The scale will run across the board from entry-level officers to armed officers at high-risk locations. We will mandate that officers have provided with refresher training courses every 2 years to keep each and every officer properly trained in the changing times in our industry.
Why do we need the SEWU when there are already international mixed unions out there?
The reason we must form an all-exclusive National Security Officer Union is to protect ourselves from being excluded from negotiations from the mixed guards unions currently representing some security officers. Those international unions won't tell you that the NLRB says that an employer may voluntarily recognize and bargain with a mixed guard union, but that same employer may withdraw recognition without violating Section 8, leaving security officers out in the cold and unprotected.
How can I change the industry by just me joining the SEWU? And how do we get my companies to listen to me after I join Security Enforcement Workers Union?
Look, the changes so desperately needed in our industry starts with you. Only you can stop the exploitation of the security officer, and only you can start the change by becoming a SEWU member. Start the change for a better tomorrow for you, your fellow security workers, your working conditions, and your loved ones. The security industry and state governments have made so many changes affecting our workers in terms of licensing requirements, background and credit checks, and fingerprint costs, and we've stood by and accepted them. They continue to add more and more requirements with no changes to the compensation structure to our officers. It is now the workers' turn to change on how we want to be better protected and compensated from the industry that we work for.
How do I start to make changes for security officers and myself?
Vote for change you can believe in. Vote yes for Security Enforcement Workers Union and join today.